Hi there, my name is Tanya and welcome to another support video for our author teams. So last week we asked you to fill out the survey to give us some feedback on how your team is doing. Are you working together? Are you having some difficulties? And if you're not working together, would you like to be allocated to a different team? I want to thank you all who replied. It was really helpful. And the survey is still open, so you can still submit some replies and some feedback. It's very valuable for us because we can then work on our strategy with the teams, and we can kind of address all of the problems that you might have with your team and make sure that they don't come up later in the future. So let's start with the good news first. One of the main things most of you mentioned as a benefit of this team, of your team, is getting reviews, getting personal support, growing your social media following, and growing your email list. Some of you also mentioned that you got a bump in the sales of your books, which is excellent, and also more followers and more views on your blog. One of the main reasons you mentioned that your team is working is because all of your team members are supportive, which is very important, more important than you might think at first. All of them are very responsive and are willing to help with each other. Also, it seems that it's very important that you have the same goal. So the same reason why you're in this team and the same kind of focus, what are you trying to accomplish being in this team? Which is a very good starting point. So this is something that we will kind of address more. So once you're allocated to a new team, you can kind of discuss it before you start to make sure that all of you are on the same page. The main reason why the teams don't work seem to be lack of participation and lack of responses. I understand that once you're allocated to your author team, some of you might be busy and didn't see the email right away and replied quite later, and then the other people kind of gave up and decided not to join. But it might be slow in the beginning. You kind of need to go through it and stick through it, basically, and wait for contact your team members once again, or wait for their reply a few days, etc., just to see if the team will work or not. I do understand that some teams might not work just because there are different personalities involved. Some people might realize they don't have time for it and just drop out, which is also fine. But in that case, we can allocate you to a different team. That being said, all of you who filled out the survey and mentioned you want to be in another team, or in the second team, or a completely different team, we will contact you in the next 2 weeks, letting you know about your new team. Also, if you mentioned that your team is willing to accept more team members, we will also email you in the next 2 weeks and allocate new team members to you. So the main advice I would give you based on these responses is not to give up easily and to reply to the emails. In some cases, the email might end up in spam, so you might check your spam folder. Maybe one or two of your team members are not interested anymore, and that's fine as well. But that doesn't mean that the team as a whole needs to kind of dissolve and stop working. If it's only 2 or 3 of you, you can always email me and I can allocate you to a bigger team because it seems to be working better in a bigger team. We just wanted to start small to make sure that if we don't put 15 people together, most of them will just drop out, or there won't be any leadership, and then it won't work. And on another note, you also mentioned that the lack of one person who would be a leader in the team was one of the main issues here. We added to a form when you decide to join the author team, we added an option where you can tell us if you're interested in being a team lead. That doesn't mean that you need to take up all of the responsibility for the team. This means that you'll just kind of take the initiative in the beginning and help the team start off. Because I understand most of you wouldn't know each other, so it's kind of hard to start cooperating together if you're not sure how the other person will react, who is in charge, who will organize everything, etc. So it's kind of hard to manage all these things in the beginning. We will also address it separately, team by team, and try to help those who are struggling in the beginning. If you have any questions or problems, please let me know in the comments and I'll be happy to reply and help. If you haven't filled out the survey and you're part of the author teams, please do. I will also post the link in the comments and we will also email it to you later today. This is really helpful for us and especially for you as a team and the future teams in general. So just one final thing I wanted to mention. As most of you know, we are publishing our children's magazine later this month. And I already emailed yesterday most of the children's teams that are active currently. If you're willing, you can write an article for our magazine. It can be a review, it can be a short story, a short YA or children's story, or it can be an article about children's reading or children's book, your inspiration behind your novel, etc. I will post the submission guidelines in the comments as well, and please email Hannah at BooksGoSocial.com for that. Thank you for listening. Liz will be back with me next week, and we'll see you next Thursday. If you haven't joined our author teams, please do. I'll post the link in the comments. Bye!